Hey, horror lover. Two killers, two cities. One turned romance into ritual, the other broke into your worst nightmares. You're not ready for what you're about to hear. Let the horror begin. People in the city used to laugh when someone said, "Check under your bed," or "Lock your windows at night." That was before the Night Stalker made Los Angeles his playground. My name is Jenna Morales. I was 24 when he came into my life. I lived in a one-bedroom apartment in Highland Park, not too far from the freeway, where you could always hear the dull roar of cars in the distance. It wasn't fancy, but it was home. I worked at a veterinary clinic nearby, had a couple friends in the building, and usually felt safe. That changed in July 2022. It started with the news. A break-in in Echo Park. A man had slipped through a bathroom window while a couple slept upstairs. He didn't take anything. He just watched them. Then he left. People called it creepy, but figured it was a one-time thing. But 2 nights later, it happened again, this time in Atwater Village. Then Los Feliz. Then Eagle Rock. He wasn't stealing. He wasn't breaking things. He was just entering homes and watching. Police didn't release much at first. Just a warning. Lock your doors and windows. Don't sleep with the air conditioning unit in if it could be pulled out. Install cameras if you could. Still, people didn't take it seriously. Not yet. The man only came at night. He would pick one home, sneak inside between midnight and 4 a.m., and vanish before the sun came up. A few people said they saw him. They all gave similar descriptions. A tall man, pale skin, wearing dark clothes, and a mask. Not the rubber Halloween kind. This one was homemade. Some said it looked like stretched cloth sewn across his face with a permanent smile painted on it. Others said the smile wasn't painted at all. It was carved. The police gave him a name the press wouldn't print. The Night Stalker. Not to be confused with Richard Ramirez decades earlier. This guy was something else entirely. They said he didn't kill, at least not yet. But that changed in August. An elderly man named Ronald Brooks was found dead in his bungalow near Sunset Boulevard. No forced entry, no signs of a struggle, but something was off. Ronald had cameras. One of them caught a blurry shape in the hallway at 2:13 a.m. It stood there, watching, then disappeared off screen. Ronald's cause of death was cardiac arrest, but he had no prior heart problems. 2 days later, a young couple in Koreatown reported seeing a man at the foot of their bed, just standing. When the husband lunged at him, the man didn't run. He let himself fall backward out the window, like he didn't care if he lived or died. The couple was left unharmed, but the man had left something behind, a piece of string tied in a knot. It was left on the windowsill, just a string. But detectives found similar pieces at 3 other homes, all tied the same way, always left at the point of entry. That's when it stopped feeling like a series of break-ins and started feeling like a game. We later learned he had a pattern. He returned to the same neighborhoods, sometimes even the same streets. Victims often said they heard tapping sounds at night, on glass, on walls, sometimes even coming from inside vents. And once you noticed it, he'd stop, only to return days later. He liked to watch. He fed off fear. That became clear. I didn't believe any of it until it happened to me. It was late August, a Friday night. I got home after dinner with friends. I locked the door, turned on the TV, and fell asleep on the couch. Around 2 a.m., I woke up freezing. The living room window was open. I always locked it. I told myself I must have forgotten. I shut it quickly and locked it tight. But something felt wrong. The air was heavy. I checked every corner of the apartment. Nothing. But when I came back to the living room, there was something on the floor. It was a piece of string, tied in a knot. I didn't sleep that night. I went to the police. They told me there wasn't much they could do unless he came back or caused damage. They did send a patrol car around the block the next few nights, but the moment I knew they were gone, I stopped feeling safe. I installed cameras, bars on the windows. I even bought a dog from a rescue shelter, a big German shepherd named Toro. And for a while, I felt safe again, until I woke up one night to find Toro whimpering in the corner. He wasn't barking, just shaking. I walked to the bedroom door. The hallway was dark, but the front door was wide open. I didn't scream. I just stood there, heart hammering, staring into the blackness. Then I saw it, movement near the kitchen. Someone was there, a figure in black. I ran back into the bedroom and slammed the door. I locked it and called 911. They were there in 6 minutes, but whoever had been inside was gone. All they found was the same knot tied and left on my kitchen counter. From that moment on, I couldn't be alone in that apartment. The Night Stalker wasn't just picking random homes. He watched, he waited, he learned people's routines. That's what scared me the most. Over the next month, more people reported seeing him, but he never stayed in one place long. A few people claimed they saw him without the mask. No one gave the same description. It was like he was different every time, like he wasn't real, just a shadow. A story parents tell their kids to keep them from sneaking out at night. But he was real. I saw him. Then, just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. By October, there were no new reports. No more break-ins. No more strings. No more shadows on camera. It was like he vanished. Some people said he got caught breaking into a house in Nevada and was shot. Others said he moved to another city. Some think he was never human at all. Just something that slipped through cracks when fear was strong enough to let it in. I moved out that year. I still live in LA, but I don't take chances anymore. I check my locks 5 times a night. I keep motion lights outside every window, and I don't sleep near the ground floor. People ask me sometimes what he looked like. The truth is, I'm not sure. I only saw a shape, a shadow, a smile where a face should have been. But I remember the feeling, the cold, the stillness, the knowing that someone had been inside, not just your home, but your life. The Night Stalker didn't need to hurt you physically to ruin you. He just needed to remind you that your safety was an illusion. And once he shows you that, you never feel safe again. I used to think Valentine's Day was just a harmless Hallmark holiday. Chocolate hearts, overpriced roses, and awkward dinner reservations. That was until I moved to Silver Pines, a small wooded town tucked between 2 frozen lakes in upstate New York, and learned what the date February 14th really meant to the people here. You won't find a single red heart or bouquet on Main Street that week. No one makes plans. No one goes out after dark. And no one dares speak the name they've all buried under years of forced smiles and forget-me-nots. The bloody Valentine. I moved to Silver Pines last year after taking a teaching job at the local high school. My girlfriend, Melissa, joined me 2 months later. We'd been saving for a quiet place to settle down, and this seemed perfect. Rent was cheap, the town was peaceful, and people kept to themselves, a welcome change after years of city noise. But something felt off. It wasn't anything anyone said directly. It was more about what they didn't say, especially in February. It wasn't until I noticed the school calendar that I first asked questions. Valentine's Day wasn't listed. In fact, the entire week was marked Home Safety Week. When I mentioned it in the teacher's lounge, the room went dead silent. One of the older teachers, Mrs. Raines, slowly folded her hands and gave me a look I'll never forget. "Just stay in that week," she said softly. "Keep your lights off and don't answer the door." 5 years ago, a couple named Aaron and Jason were found dead in a snow-covered field just outside town. They'd gone missing after dinner at a small Italian place. Police found their bodies the next morning. Both were mutilated. The killer had taken time arranging them, hand in hand, faces tilted toward one another, with a blood-soaked red heart painted on the snow around them. The words, "Be mine," were carved into Aaron's chest. The next year, it happened again. Then again. 3 Valentine's days in a row. Different couples, all butchered, same message, same bloody signature. And each time, the town retreated further into silence. People stopped celebrating the holiday. Some even left town. Local police were overwhelmed. They had no suspects, no evidence that made sense. The FBI came and went, claiming it might have been a drifter. They called him the Bloody Valentine. The 4th year, no one left their homes. Curfews were in place, patrols doubled, and still another couple died. Found on their own back porch, throats slashed, red petals stuffed into their mouths, with a small pink envelope taped to the door that simply read, "Happy Valentine's Day." But the 5th year, nothing happened. And the next, still quiet. People started pretending it was over, but no one really believed that. This year was going to be the 6th since the last murder. Melissa and I hadn't planned anything. But that morning, while I was getting dressed for work, she came in holding an envelope. "Hey, this was in the mailbox," she said, handing it to me. There was no stamp, just our names. My stomach turned. Inside was a Valentine's Day card, the old-school kind with cartoon hearts. But on the back, someone had written in black marker, "Don't forget me." At first, I thought maybe it was a prank, some sick town tradition. I even laughed it off until I saw Melissa's face. She wasn't laughing. That night, we tried to stay calm. We made dinner at home, kept the lights low, and tried not to talk about it. But every sound outside made me flinch. Every creak in the house felt heavier. At 10:24 p.m., the doorbell rang. We both froze. Neither of us moved for what felt like a full minute. Then it rang again. Longer this time. Melissa whispered, "Maybe it's the police." But I knew better. I picked up my phone and checked the outside camera. The screen showed nothing but the porch. Empty. But the bell rang again, even louder. I crept to the front window and pulled the curtain back just an inch. There was something on the steps. A box, wrapped in red. I didn't want to go out there, but leaving it felt worse. I waited until the camera showed nothing nearby. Then I opened the door just enough to grab the box and slammed it shut again. Inside was a photo, an old one, a couple holding hands outside the high school. I recognized the location, but not the people. The man had been circled in red ink. Underneath the photo was a note. "This one broke her heart. I fixed it." The next day, I went straight to the police. They took the box, said they'd check prints, but I could tell they weren't hopeful. One officer, a young guy named Donnelly, pulled me aside after. "You need to leave town for a few days," he said. "They never caught him. And sometimes, killers go quiet when they're watching." Melissa and I packed and drove to a motel 2 hours north. I kept checking the news. Nothing happened that night. No murders, no sightings. But I couldn't sleep. Every noise outside the room made my skin crawl. 2 days later, we came home. Everything looked normal, until I saw the message written on our bathroom mirror. "Don't run. Lovers never last." The glass had been written on from the inside. While we were gone, we didn't sleep at all that night. Weeks passed, then months. No new murders were reported, but things felt different. We didn't talk about Valentine's Day. We didn't celebrate anything. It was like some shadow had moved into our lives and never really left. Then last week, in the back of a local paper, I saw the headline, "Unidentified couple found dead in closed ski lodge." They were posed the same way, hand in hand, red heart painted across the floor. The bloody Valentine was never gone. He just changed his calendar. And maybe next year, it won't be lovers he's after,